However, I do want to ask you all, we all know where the polls are, and I think there's sort of, partly, I believe in the shy Trump factor. I think anyone who says they're undecided at this point, that's a Trump voter, if you start to see those in the polls. But, I am able to, obviously, looking around for what the signs are to go, hang on, margin of error and sample size and all of this stuff. And I think there's a sort of psychological effect that's about, Biden's leading by 10, 12, 14, 18, 16, and nothing happens, day to day. And there's sort of this psychological effect about breaking you down. But Fox News has a poll, and Fox News, which has polling showing Biden should be winning by 10 points, okay? So they've been able to do polls of people about which way they would plan to vote, and apparently that shows that Biden would be winning and winning by the best part of 10 points. But what do you think your neighbour's going to do? Now, watch this. In August, 34, Biden, 39, Trump, and then it changed to now, post-COVID diagnosis, that the unsure went from 20 to 8, moved straight up to Trump. They didn't break anywhere for Biden. They broke all for Trump. So now the assumption is my neighbour is going to vote for. Now, is it scientific? I don't know. Is it the reality? We don't know till the game is done. But I wanted to ask all three of you about how honest that question is. Because who would you vote for? People might have a slightly different reaction about, I'm not going to tell you because I'm a shy Trump, I'm not going to tell you because I'm a secret Green. But when they turn around and say, who would your neighbour vote for you, have we actually either seen their own intention or they've talked to their neighbour? What do you think, Bronwyn?
I draw an analogy with what happened here when people thought that Shorten was going to win. I think it's one of those questions that people can say, oh, well, I don't know what they think. Well, maybe they'll vote for the other fella. But I still think your first assumption was the right one. I think the shy Trump voter is the real catalyst in it. The violent attack against all things Trump is so vicious that people are not going to say if they're going to vote for Trump at all. So you can say that, that question has got some validity or not. But I really think that the temperature is just so high that people aren't going to say. I still think Trump will win.
Yeah. I certainly do after seeing things like that. Jim, again, look, we don't ask these questions much in Australia. One of the reasons, look, it's a shocking lefty poll, but I like Essential as a polling company because they ask different types of questions. I like to see those sorts of things about sentiment as opposed to attitude all the time. Do you put any validity in that sort of stuff or just because it's telling us what we want to hear, we're putting validity in it?
Well, we do want to hear that, but it is fascinating, Paul, isn't it? And I think I hadn't thought of that particular aspect, but I think people are definitely shy, particularly when they're talking to someone like the ABC, where they might be beaten up for showing something which is not the groupthink in the ABC. But the two things I think are coming together now. We're only a couple of weeks out. The first one is COVID, and there'll be reaction to that, and maybe we're seeing that. But the second one is law and order and security. And I reckon people are starting to think about that in a very, very serious way. Law and order and national security.
Yeah. And again, Nick, just that polling question, because I'm fascinated by it because either it's, somebody moves their answers around, or literally they've seen that their neighbour's got a flag, their neighbour's got a sign. In America, like in Australia, you would generally not put a sign out the front of your house. Some super fanatics do, and that's fine. One day you'll get that upper house spot, Nick. But for the rest of us, what do you put of that question?
And Jim have put the occasional sign out the front of their place as well. So come on, everyone on the panel except for you does it. So.
Yes, I know. I definitely don't. I'm not even allowed to have a flagpole. My missus says, no, it's too bogan. I want to be, and I am.
Nothing wrong with a flagpole, Paul.
Bloody oath. So, Nick, how do you feel about that question? The power of that question?
Yeah, no, it's a clever question because it actually flushes out the phenomena you spoke of the silent or shy Trump voter who may feel because of social pressure that they don't want to declare how they're going to vote. I guess the bit I'm not accurately able to give you analysis on is whether, because Trump voters are in some parts of America, seemingly to me, so out loud and proud, that they're seeing them flying those colours and that gives them the impression that people in their neighbourhood may be Trump voters. That is an alternative explanation. But look, I do think that survey does give you pause to, just ask, I guess, or look even more closely at some of the national polls and local polls. which do now seem to be showing that Biden is heading for a landslide. And just picking up Jim's point, I mean, I think the reason why that's going to happen, and it was made patently clear in the Vice President debate today, in that demolition job that Kamala Harris did of the Trump administration over their handling of COVID-19. I mean, you just can't get around 7 million people with COVID-19, 210,000 people dead, 1 in 5 businesses closed, millions of people on the unemployment scrap heap. Like, it's been an absolute debacle, and no amount of spin or Trump's stunts can get voters to believe otherwise, that their country's in deep trouble and they need a new direction.
But of course, don't forget, if Trump's able to bounce out of it within the 10 days, within the 14 days, he will join the majority of the 7 million who, of course, had it and got through it. And, of course, there are 320 million people in the United States. So the numbers, you know, I get it. I'm not downplaying deaths or cases or anything like that. But I think the intensity of where corona is in certain parts of the country sort of matters. Sorry, Bronwyn.
And he's also been the national guinea pig.
Yes,
and said, try it on me, now I'm going to make it available for the rest of you.
All right.
It's a pretty good line.